Happy Tuesday, everyone, and welcome to Unit 2. As of today, it marks exactly 2 weeks into our course, which I find kind of crazy that we're already 2 weeks in. Time flies, so especially in a 6-week course, it goes by pretty quickly. So making sure in terms of time management that we are where we should be at this point is almost halfway through Unit 2. So if you go to our submissions tab and you sort of look at where you should be at in terms of due dates, we're just a little bit or almost halfway through Unit 2. So make sure that you're staying on top of it as best you can, because yes, it does go so quickly, and if you need extra help or if there are things going on, then please keep me in the loop. It's the only way I'm going to know what's what. So having said all that, I want to dive into our next lesson, which for most of you actually you've already started, which is complaint letter. So the idea of complaint letter, or writing a complaint letter, is the idea of language. Again, we're tying in the concept of target audience. We're tying in the idea of purpose. So it is a very clear intended purpose of writing. So for our lesson, you were asked to create a complaint letter using a variety of criteria, but specifically it was to create a complaint letter. I believe it was for a specific product, or a negative product or negative service. Now this could be a fictitious story, or it could be actually based on an experience that you've had. That's totally up to you. But what's really important to pay attention with the idea of complaint letter is the idea of language. So we talk about informal, moderate, and formal language. Now what's important and what I want you to sort of take away with this is the idea of language and what the language in fact says about you, right? So understanding that even when we are super frustrated, emotional, upset, and we are trying to conduct ourselves in a way that is still reasonable, that is still logical, so that we ourselves can be heard, so that our issues, so that our concerns can still come across articulately. Sometimes very, very difficult for you as well as myself, where I've been in that situation where you're upset, or you feel cheated, or you feel disrespected, and it just kind of just comes out emotionally. But it doesn't necessarily get across what we're trying to say. And if you've ever written like a text where you were super upset and you wrote something or you sent something to someone, and then a day later you're like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Or, oh, I forgot to say this and this and this. So it's important that when we have something to say and we want our voices to be heard, that we come at it from more of a logical point of view, even though that is very difficult sometimes. So what this assignment is to kind of practice those skills. Now you yourself are in fact going to choose which mode of language you're going to use. Are you going to use informal, moderate, or formal? Now because this is a business-like letter and you are filing a complaint, I think we're going to stem closer to more of the moderate or more formal language to ensure that our issues is in fact heard well, I should say. So that's a little clarification, I hope, in terms of what I want you to focus on. So it is the idea of language. I want you to follow a structured template, business template, which we have provided on our website within our course. You can also Google them as well. There's so many available out there if you don't like the one that we actually have provided. But just please know that there is a structure to it and a language that is super important, and that's kind of what you're being assessed and marked on. It's your idea to articulate yourself in a way that gets across what you want to get across, even if it is something negative. No one can say that you can't articulate that, but it's about how we do it and what that in fact represents about you, not necessarily the product or the business, but it's about how you want to be represented, how you want people to interpret yourself. And that's kind of a huge life lesson, a huge life skill, but in this case, hopefully some practice in regards to getting that perspective out there. So hopefully this is helpful. If you need any help at all, please let me know, and we'll talk soon.